do it.
Let's do it. Welcome to ThroneCast.
Welcome to the inaugural ThroneCast.
3WL Studios, Seth Dunlap, T-Bob Hebert. He hosts double coverage every morning. I've been in this week, but something we're going to start to do every week now. I know we're releasing this one on a Thursday, just because we got to it late, started this late, but Mondays, all the rest of the season now, the Game of Thrones season, we will release our video cast on YouTube. Link it on our Twitters and on WWL.com.
Very excited about this.
Yeah, pretty simple premise, right? We're just going to recap, and not necessarily recap everything that happened, because we're assuming you've watched this. By the way, spoilers galore here, so if you haven't seen it, don't want to have any spoilers, turn it off now. But we're just going to kind of give our thoughts on some of the overarching
Real quick, just a little background information. I have read all the books. Seth has not. There will be no spoilers for anything that has not happened in the TV show yet, as this is mainly about the TV show, what it's doing right, you know, what we're enjoying the most. So this will not be involving the books really at all.
Right. So I kind of want to get into the themes, first of all, what's happening in the different areas of Westeros. You kind of got the north, you got the south, and then you got across the sea to the east, where Daenerys and her army of slaves now are marching. But just to kind of recap everything that's happened, obviously the big moment last year, we left with the Red Wedding. Yeah. Right? And the Starks, who, at least in my view, not having read the book, and I know the books are from a first-person perspective, right? So, doesn't like one character explain, like,
if it'll follow one character, yes, it'll switch back and forth between characters as it jumps around to all the wonderful, excellent characters that we have. And basically, last season ended, right, with the Red Wedding. The Starks, despite being everybody's favorite good guys and being
kind of the main characters, too.
Well, it's how they set it up in the beginning, and they're very honorable people. It seems like they're making choices that generally you would want to agree with. Well, nice guys do indeed finish last because they got wiped out, right?
Yeah. Well, and everybody thinks they're all wiped out except for Sansa. Because, at least from the perspective of the Lannisters, I think, anyways, they think Bran and Rickon are dead.
Yep.
They definitely think Arya's dead.
Yep.
So they know Sansa's there, and she's the one left alive. So, I don't know. To me, it's a weird dynamic now because they portrayed them as the main characters. Everything kind of revolved around them and their struggle to get back what they lost at the hands of the Lannisters / Baratheons. And now that storyline's kind of crushed because there's nobody who can really get that revenge right now, is there? I mean, maybe eventually, but way down the road, like a Jon Snow. But he's not really a Stark.
Well, they're spread. They're like leaves in the wind, right? You got Jon Snow. He's up at the wall. Bran and Rickon are heading north of the wall with the Reed siblings. Arya is currently in a very odd couple with the Hound now. They are heading to the Eyrie to see Aunt Lysa.
Let's stop. Let's. I want to talk about that for a minute because that's one thing I wanted to touch on. It's a very, I think, cool dynamic that they have now built in with the Hound as kind of the father figure for Arya, right? It is. How long they don't do the one thing they don't do a good job on the TV show, I think, is a timeline, like how long has it been since they've been traveling together? Do you know how in the books, like, does it say how long they're supposed to have been, on the road together? I wouldn't
say they've been on the road too long together, but you can see there's a relationship there. They're developing. They've killed together now. You better give the Hound all the chicken if he asks for it, as they quickly learn. And Arya now, I think if we look back, she has 3 kills under her belt, I want to say.
3.
She killed the little boy in King's Landing that was trying to come up on her when Ned first got killed.
Yeah, with
then
needle.
She killed the guys at the end of last season when she walked up on camp. It was like they were talking crap about the Starks, and she was like, oh, I need, can we get some food or something? And then the guy bent over and she took it to him. And then she got Needle back and killed Polliver.
That's true.
So
she's definitely ruthless.
Yes.
She's turning in. She's a good protege for the Hound because
Arya's getting up there in the kill count. That's for sure.
Yeah. And then I'm not sure really what they're doing with Bran's story anymore. That's the one where I'm a little disappointed in the show because they're not doing a good job of it. We've seen 3 episodes now, and he's had maybe like 6 or 7 minutes of space time.
But Bran's story is a bit shrouded in mystery, right? These Reed twins show
warg,
up.
Is what they call him?
Yes, he's a warg, a skin changer. He can go in different animals, etc. His is a very supernatural tale, right? He's got powers. The Reed twins show up. Jojen Reed has some sort of ability. He's like a seer almost, and he's telling Bran, we got to go north of the wall. Why would you want to go north of the wall? We don't know. And then moving to the north, we'll take a look at everything going on north, and we'll just jump right in it with Bran. Last episode, we saw him touch one of the elder trees of the old gods that the north traditionally worships, and he had a bit of a crazy vision. Right? You saw a lot of different things. You saw a dragon flying over King's Landing. Just a bunch of other cool shots. Like I said, shrouded in mystery. We don't really know where it's going, but it definitely seems like down the road he'll have a role to play.
No, and then obviously from the north, we've got this massive wildling threat. And it's interesting to me because we ended season 3, right? The 2 big things were the Snow's demise, Catelyn and Robb. And I guess Robb's wife in the show, which didn't happen in the book, getting killed as well. And then the second one was, right, the wildling threat and the White Walker threat from the north, both coming at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, they were almost at the wall. You have this 100,000-man army from, Mance Rayder?
Yeah,
right?
Mance Rayder.
And they haven't really touched on that. They've shown, like, the small group of wildlings with Ygritte and her
Tormund Giantsbane, and then the, I can't remember their name, but the insane cannibals who are super evil.
Yeah, they are definitely pure evil. I don't know if anybody in the show is more pure evil than them.
Maybe Ramsay Bolton, but we will get to him in a little bit.
Yeah. So I don't know what... That's what I'm looking forward to the most now that we've had, obviously, Joffrey's death. I never heard a death more praised on a TV show than that one, I think. But
no, people are very happy that Jack Gleeson died.
That's the next domino to fall here, because if you all of a sudden, and again, I haven't read the books, you have, but if that 100,000 wildling army, 100,000-man wildling army, breaches the wall, nobody's, like, not just the Snows and the North's in trouble, the Baratheons, the Lannister, and everybody else is going to have to deal with that pretty soon.
And I think Jon Snow put in perspective last episode when they were talking about how for the very few men the Night's Watch have, they could all kill 100 wildlings, and it literally wouldn't matter.
That's our promo, by the way.
1350, home of sports.
We are in the 3WL 1350 studios, by the way.
Should we here? Well, we'll just redo that. And I think Jon Snow put that into perspective last episode when he kind of said that, each, with the amount of numbers the Night's Watch have, each guy could kill 100 wildlings, and it wouldn't even matter. And that's maybe where what I'm excited for, what I want to see is Jon Snow earlier in the season alluded to Mance Rayder making the claim that he would light a bonfire like the North has never seen. And yet we haven't seen barely anything of this wildling army, especially not yet this season. So I think they've kind of kept it quiet because they're just going to hit us with like this massive reveal, just giants, animals, wargs, troops, and then just the, bonfire everywhere. I think it's going to be crazy. I think that's going to be definitely one of the big battles coming up this season.
Now, is it just me, and maybe I'm one of the few, but the wildlings in general are a little bit of a sympathetic group to me, right? Because they've been barricaded off from the more resource-wealthy part of the land. They've been shut out up in the north in this Siberia-like territory where it's cold, it's snowy, very little to eat, right? And they've been treated as outcasts and not let back in. And they while they're a free people, they certainly, in my view, have a big beef with everybody in the South. And like I said, a little bit of sympathetic, not like the ones like the cannibals who are just even, but the Ygrittes, even the Mance Rayders. Like he said, he wanted to unite everybody to reclaim all of their land back.
Yeah, they want their land back. And that's probably one of my favorite parts about this show in general is that every character, every group of people, they really are painted with shades of gray. Because although they are sympathetic at times, like Ygritte, we all learned to like her with Jon Snow. Last episode definitely proved just how ruthless these wildlings can be. I mean, the fight kicks off with Ygritte smoking that dad through the head with an arrow right after he has this beautiful moment with his son. You kind of knew something bad was going to happen because the whole scene, like, oh, Dad, we're going to eat potato stew. It didn't really fit with Game of Thrones. And, yeah, of course, suddenly he's got an arrow through the eye. And from there, the wildlings proceed to kill everyone.
It's going to be interesting.
Send the little boy running off.
It's interesting to me how they're going to portray this Battle of the North from a TV perspective, not knowing what happens in the books, because it seems like there's not enough people left in the North, or at least big enough armies to repel this threat, but I guess we'll see. Let's move south.
Except the odds are not in their favor.
No.
For sure.
Definitely not in their favor. And, well, let's go south.
King's
right?
Landing.
Okay, let's just get it out of the way, because everybody wants to know
down.
right away. The huge story so far has been Joffrey's demise.
Yes.
Right? I think they played it perfectly, especially in that episode, because the talk, you and I were having this talk, and everybody else was talking like, who did it? Right? There were so many people that we thought could have done it. Was it Sansa? Was it, I didn't really think it was Tyrion. I thought that would have been way too obvious. And I also didn't think it was Oberyn Martell. That would have been too obvious, but some people did. Was it Marjorie? My two that I thought before I saw this last episode, I thought it could have been Marjorie Tyrell, because she saw what a evil bastard that kid was.
She dropped a few comments, along the past few seasons where she's like, "Oh, Joffrey's an insane ass."
Yes, and then it would not be above. I know Cersei loves her kids, but she is one power-hungry, crazy person, and I can see.
I don't know about that. I don't know. I just don't buy the Cersei thing, because I thought this last episode she looked truly racked with grief.
Right, this last episode.
Okay,
but before I saw that episode, because she hated Tyrion, right? She hates Tyrion, wants him to die and go away. And she has said, too, in different conversations, that she realizes her son is a little bit of a psychopath.
But if Cersei has one redeeming factor, and it's hard to find one, it's that she truly loves her kid. No, I think Littlefinger, though, definitely looks suspicious, especially when you consider the fact that he had Ser Dantos ready to take Sansa away right after Joffrey died.
Okay, well, let me pause there. And I know you kind of know who did it and what happened by now. But to me, maybe the show's doing this intentionally to make it look like he definitely did it. But I think, I don't know, it looks like he definitely was the one who initiated the poison. I don't want you to tell me if it was. Yeah. I mean, the way they played that, to me, episode, again, there could be somebody behind the scenes pulling the strings with him. But
well, that's the great thing about Game of Thrones, though, is you never know, or you're always kind of questioning who is actually behind what game are they playing.
That would be a remarkable stroke of luck to pull her out at that exact moment, right?
Oh, no, for sure. So he's involved.
Yeah.
It seems like it's obvious he's involved, but is he the driving force?
Right.
Or is it some of the other people named? Joffrey had so many enemies. Yeah. It could definitely be Oberyn. It could definitely be the Queen of Thorns. There's actually, if you go back and watch the episode, there's a few lines where maybe it kind of indicates the Queen of Thorns, but there's also a couple, obviously, that indicate Oberyn with him being a poisons master, etc. So right now, I think you could safely say Littlefinger. He's involved. Beyond that, a lot of speculation. Joffrey had a ton of enemies. A lot of people did not want him on.
Now, the one I haven't thought about until just now, because he has talked about eunuchs being involved in poisonings before, was, I'm forgetting his name. Varys, who he has said, I don't know, at least a dozen times throughout the seasons, that his sole goal and his position is to protect the Empire. So perhaps he realizes that protecting the Empire means to get rid of that person. Joffrey.
That's actually a very good point, because Varys feels very strongly about protecting the realm. He's proven that he holds no real allegiance to anybody besides himself, and trying to kind of keep everything somewhat stable. And any shadowy plans that go on in King's Landing, he's always up to date on them. He generally knows everything. So trying to pull off something like that without him knowing would be tough, but not impossible.
Yeah, who do you think? Leave them in the comments below here. You can tweet us as well. Who do you think did it? And if you've read the books, no spoilers, please, on the comments. No trolling. But I'd be interested to see your theories. To me, it would be, I guess now that I just thought about that, Varys or Queen of Thorns would be my.
So where we're at now, Joffrey's dead. And last episode we saw Tywin really getting into Tommen's head, right? And by the way, remember, This is Joffrey Baratheon and Tommen Baratheon. So technically, the Iron Throne is still in Baratheon hands, but for all intents and purposes, it is a Lannister throne as Tywin is in his ear. He's got him, he's like a puppet on a string. It seems like Tywin is just in a prime position to rule from the shadows.
And he seems like
what he's looking for.
Tommen right now seems like a little bit of a sympathetic figure.
Yeah.
Seemed like a smart kid, not overtly evil and nasty like his brother.
Thrown
but
into
he's
a crazy
certainly
situation.
going to be. This is certainly going to be a puppet rule now by Tywin Lannister, right? I don't think there's any doubt about that.
And so there's a lot of different people vying for power right now. The Tyrells are in the awkward position where Marjorie got married but didn't consummate the marriage, so she's kind of queen, but maybe she's not. Is Cersei still queen? Tommen's king with Tywin Tywin's obviously moving away from Cersei anyway. Yeah. No real sympathy there. Basically talking about why Joffrey sucked as a king over his dead body, which then led to more. I mean, that whole room just led to Lannister weirdness.
Okay, let's talk. We need to talk about that scene because it blew up on the internet. That apparently we're talking about the rape scene, which to me, the first thing. By the way, anybody who watched the show and didn't read the book, to me that was obvious rape. Right? I mean, it forced himself on her. She was saying no. However, George R.R. Martin said the way it was written in the book wasn't intended to be rape. And the last interview I read last night was he actually was okay with how the show portrayed it because Jaime himself and that dynamic has been done a little differently on the show. So he called it the butterfly effect, that they changed a few things before, and this leads to him being a little more aggressive in that scene.
And Jaime...
Weird scene, though, you're right.
Jaime's one of the most interesting characters and maybe one of the most sympathetic in this entire series because it seems like he is a good person at heart, but his one weakness is that he is just head over heels in love with his sister. It's the one girl he's ever slept with. He has kids with her. She drives him a little crazy. And if you look at Jaime, he's had a rough go of things. He's known as the Oathbreaker, the Kingslayer. And really, he took that burden on himself to save everyone in King's Landing.
Yeah.
The Mad King would have quite literally killed every citizen in King's Landing with the wildfire if Jaime doesn't kill him. And yet that killing pretty much shamed his entire life, his entire reputation. Yes. So you feel bad for him. And then he does something like this, or he throws Bran out of a window, and you're like, oh, wait, this guy's really messed up.
He had kind of redeemed himself to me from the Bran issue in what he has done since then. But I have to tell you, after that scene, the way they portrayed it in the show, the rape scene, I think he's irredeemable now. And it's interesting to see. I don't know how the books are written, like how his story progressed in the books, but I don't know how the writers, and there's going to be a lot of people, especially the women viewers of the show, who are going to now view him as an irredeemable character, right?
Yeah.
There's no way that the writers and the showrunners can now try to bring him back and make him a good guy. He can still have a few shades of gray, perhaps, but I don't think there's any way they can point him towards the good guy side anymore. We don't have that much time left, but we definitely need to talk about, I guess, two things. The Martells and then what's going on with Daenerys on the other side. The Martells are totally cool.
Martell's
he's my
burst
favorite
onto
character.
The scene.
He's my favorite character in the show right now just because he's so mysterious, right? He's so mysterious and, listen, a little cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
Bisexual badass.
A bisexual badass. I'm looking for some alliteration. He's not busty. I was going to say a busty bisexual badass. Either way, though.
A brown-skinned bisexual badass.
There you go. Oberyn, though, known as the Viper. And what I love about what you're seeing now, the Martells are on the scene, you're catching a completely different culture. Oberyn carries his paramour, his mistress, who is a bastard, very freely. Like, brings her to court, brings her to functions that in some of the other cities of Westeros it'd be very frowned upon to wear your infidelities on your sleeve like that. But I believe her name's Ilya Sand. Sand is, of course, like Snow, a bastard name. And I just love the fact that Oberyn's kind of up in everybody's face with that. It's an amazing lover, obviously. Poison's master. So I'm really excited to see what happens with the deal that him and Tywin struck.
Yeah.
Because Tywin offered him a shot at the mountain.
Right.
As long as he'll sit on the court case.
I think there's going to be a double cross there. I think Oberyn seems very crafty, and I could see that going where he accepts the deal knowing full well he's going to totally betray, double cross.
There could be a double cross on both sides. Don't forget, this is the same Tywin Lannister that is the orchestrator of the Red Wedding.
Now, this is a good segue because they mentioned it at the end of the last episode when they were talking about the agreement between Tywin and Oberyn was that way back before the show started that the only kingdom or house to withstand the attacks from the Targaryens' dragons was the Martell's area.
The Martell's area. Apparently, I don't actually really remember that too much, so I guess Dorne must have held out.
So he said
I don't know how they necessarily got brought in the fold. Yeah, and he's buttering him up, bringing up the great history, of Dorne, and there's dragons across the sea, so you will be needed. So it seems like right now maybe he's bridged that gap. I just don't think it's enough when Oberyn feels like the Lannisters are responsible for the rape and murder of his sister, which is a lot for anyone to get over. So obviously King's Landing, as it always is, steeped in politics
which now. I think makes the show completely intriguing, right?
And
the one story I honestly wish there was a whole hour just on her story and what she's doing is Daenerys. Well, I can't get enough of that whole storyline across the seas.
Daenerys is one of the great female characters in television, though. In pop culture, the fact that she is self-made, she's a very powerful woman, a young powerful woman
and
who
virtuous.
doesn't use sex, doesn't use some of these more traditional routes like a Cersei may to rise to power. No, she has gathered this army on her own. She kind of put it in perspective last season when she was like, 3 months ago, I didn't have a house. 2 months ago, I didn't have dragons. 1 month ago, I didn't have an army. Like, she is just gaining steam. She's got a ton on her plate right now, though. I think 2 cities have already fallen, Astapor.
At the gates of a third.
And another, Yunkai, maybe. She's at the gates of Marina or at the gates of Yunkai. I can't exactly remember, but 2 of the major slave cities have fallen. And really, she's disrupted that entire continent's economy, which is something you cannot overlook.
Right.
This isn't like fairy tale land, we freed the slaves, now everybody's going to be happy and have jobs, be able to work. No, these slaves know nothing beyond slaving. So she's got a ton of mouths to feed. Trade routes are disrupted. That whole economy, like I said, operated on that slave model. So now, markets are crashing, everything's kind of up in the air, and she's going around felling city after city. How is she going to feed these people?
Yeah.
How is she going to follow through on their promises to take care of them? She's got a lot on her plate before I think she can even look to Westeros.
Yeah, and she's one of 2 characters, I think, that George R.R. Martin, until now, and the showrunners have portrayed as completely sympathetic. 100% sympathetic from what she came from.
That's
but the way that the show is gone, and apparently he writes, I can't imagine that she stays completely sympathetic for much longer.
No. There's definitely got to be some sort of questionable decisions there. And think about this. Now, while there's no truly sympathetic forces left in Westeros, if one were to rise or take power, you could see a clash eventually maybe between 2 good guys with a Daenerys and somebody that you like that gained control of the Iron Throne battling out. So I do agree with you that down the road, there's probably something in the works for her because she has been easily the easiest person to cheer for on that show.
Yeah. By the way, if you haven't seen the pictures and the news from this last week involving her dragons, George R.R. Martin is writing a novelette, a novella,
I don't know,
a short book.
We had this conversation
with the history preceding everything from the Song of Ice and Fire books and the Game of Thrones show, which shows the history of the wars leading up to it and the Targaryens conquering Westeros with their dragons. And the cover art for that was the reason I mentioned this. You can Google it. The cover art is Aegon Targaryen, an ancestor of Daenerys Targaryen, riding a dragon. And everybody wants to know how big these dragons are going to get. Well, more massive than you can imagine.
Yeah.
He is a speck on the back of this dragon. Yeah, so as we look forward to Sunday, what are you looking forward to the most in this episode coming up in a couple of days?
That's tough I would like to see, because look, I read the books once. I might go back eventually read them again. I don't know exactly how the timing and everything works out. So I would like to see maybe a little bit of Mance's attack, maybe advance that storyline a little bit. But like I said, it's almost hard to even choose with so much going on. Like what's going to happen with Arya and the Hound? What's going to continue to develop in King's Landing now that Tommen's in power? Actually, what I might be looking forward to the most is the Trial of Tyrion.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it. The Trial of Tyrion
It's looming.
promises to be a ton of fun. I just don't know if they'll get to it this next episode.
I see Oberyn's going to be one of the 3 panels, or one of the 3 judges on that panel. And I think he's going to do some kind of double cross, save Tyrion, because he realizes that Tyrion, although he's a Lannister, he's probably the most sympathetic Lannister left, right?
A deal between Oberyn and Tywin almost guarantees somebody double-crossing the other. Like, who knows where that thing will go.
So I'm looking forward to the storylines that I want to see develop more are, we didn't even talk about it actually, was the Theon/Reek storyline. I have no idea what's going to go on there. They're heading north.
Ramsay Bolton, one of my favorite characters as far as casting in the show. Good-looking kid. He got the blue eyes. Kind of has a baby face. Like, you wouldn't expect him. Man. Well, exactly. You wouldn't expect him to just be pure evil like he is. And he is sickening. And he has completely mentally demolished Theon.
Yeah.
As evidenced by the scene where Reek is Theon now, shaving Ramsay Bolton Stark with a straight edge razor, and Ramsay tells him about them killing Robb Stark at a wedding, and he still doesn't slit Ramsay's throat. So he really is a puppet. To the point where Roose Bolton went from being angry that he had tortured Theon to just being impressed with how much of an animal he was at this point. He was like, let's see what we can do with this toy. So currently, Roose has sent Ramsay to Moat Caitlin to take out the Greyjoys who are blocking the Bolton armies from moving anywhere.
I thought yes, but the eventual goal of Ramsay is he wants to find Bran.
Well, he needs to find Bran and
Rickon. They're the only people that know Bran's alive.
He needs to find Bran and Rickon, but he told Roose about it, and Roose is like, okay, I'm going to use that, but then he sent him to grab Moat Caitlin.
Okay, so I want to see that play out a little more. I want to see the Wildling storyline. I want to see like 30 minutes on the Wildling storyline because that needs to play out more. I mean, I could go an episode or even 2 with kind of the King's Landing, Tywin or Tyrion pending trial kind of marinating there. But I want to find out what's going on with the Wildlings and I want to see that battle with Daenerys. She's at the city gates. Yeah. Something's going to happen. Are the slaves going to join her again and take out
couple big battles looming? I fully expect the Wildlings battle to be maybe a full episode.
Yeah.
You know, I think that'll be pretty epic. One move we should talk about, Daenerys working a little psychological warfare into her repertoire, launching catapults full of freed slave collars into the city. Genius move. Destabilize the city, get the slaves to turn their masters before you even have to attack because they obviously outnumber the masters. So Daenerys is doing work. However, she's making a ton of powerful enemies. So we will see where that goes.
Well, she's also becoming maybe the most powerful player in this entire story.
This is true.
Right? Even though you're right, she's caused some problems over there. We'll see how it goes out. If you like this, we're going to do this, and we had to pack so much in because we had to catch up on the season.
A little overwhelming,
right.
This episode was.
So we're going to do this on Mondays from now on. So we'll be able to go a little bit more in-depth into all of the storylines as well. Follow me on Twitter at Seth Dunlap. He's
at Tbob53.
Right, and we'll do this every Monday, and we want you to get involved as well in the comments with us on Twitter. I really want to know, the poisoning to me is maybe the most biggest mystery in TV in a long time.
Well, and it's
I don't know who did it
because everybody wanted Joffrey to die. Everybody,
right.
Nobody wanted Joffrey to win. Nobody wanted the Lannisters to never have anything bad happen to them. So this is kind of like a point for everybody who's a fan of Ned Stark.
Biggest water cooler talk from a show, I think, in a long time.
It's true.
Best. I was a big Breaking Bad fan, and I've never seen as much water cooler talk from everybody about Breaking Bad during the final episodes. But it's going to surpass it.
I can't believe that Breaking Bad, y'all call yourselves baddies.
I think
it's the least cool nickname
I didn't call
I've
myself
ever heard.
a baddie.
I don't know. I think you did.
I love that show, though. I still think
you
that's the best show on
definitely
television.
referred to yourself as a baddie at one point in your life.
I think I did.
All right, well...
yeah, we'll do this. He hosts double coverage every morning with Christian Garrick, 6 to 9 on 1350 AM. You can also download the 3WL app if you want to listen to some New Orleans sports talk with him and Christian every morning, 6 to 9, and it's on TuneIn Radio as well. So, until Monday, we'll probably get these up Monday afternoons. Tell everybody about this if you liked it. Share it. We'll continue to do it as long as there's an interest out there for it. ThroneCast.
ThroneCast. Hell yeah. So, stick around. It'll be fun. See you next time. All right. Nice.
What brings you so far north?
Bring me one of those chickens.
You got money to pay for it?
You paid for it?
No. So, you got money?
Not a penny. I'll still take that chicken.
Tell you what. We'll trade you. One of our little chickens for one of yours.
Think I'll take 2 chickens.
You don't seem to understand the situation.
I understand that if any more words come pouring out your mouth, I'm gonna have to eat every chicken in this room.
You're gonna die for some chickens.
Someone is.